Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection to thoroughbred horse racing from coast to coast and beyond. The latest news, development, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the Sport of Kings. From California, New York, Florida, and Kentucky, and wherever Major League Racing takes us, we got you covered. It's post time. And we welcome you from San Diego on this Saturday, bright and sunny and a sunny day to each and every one of you. Welcome aboard to Track Talk Live from San Diego, 8:01 on the west, 11:01 on the East Coast. Great day of Saturday action all the way around. Great show planned for you. We'll take you around the country. We'll get you connected with what's happening at Aqueduct, that Rainbow Pick 6 down at Gulfstream Park. Any prep races along the way. A little soft in the road to the Kentucky Derby on this Saturday. But I can assure you, and I guarantee you, that it will heat up next weekend. We're about 70 days away from the Kentucky Derby. And we'll find a solid group of 3-year-olds that will make up the field as they go through the prep races and the qualifying and trying to vie the right number of points in order to get to the first Saturday in May, and that's May 5th. So we're 70 days away, but we welcome you no matter where you are. If you tuned in, you want to know what's happening in the world of thoroughbred horse racing, no one better to tell you than inside the studio we go, the all-around man, the rubber band man, the point guard, the quarterback. Yeah, he plays a number of different positions. One and only Tommy D. Tommy D, at top of the morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, beautiful day warming up here in San Diego. It's been a little chilly lately.
Ooh.
So, yeah, we're getting there, Felix. And as you said, the Kentucky Derby right around the corner, all amped up for that. As a horse player, it's our time of the year where we're excited. So, and we got a good field this year, and I think it's wide open. That's what I love about it. Right now, we got 6-1 is the leading horse on the odds, 6-1. Catholic Boy currently. Second would be 8-1, Bolt d'Oro. But I think this field is wide open. These horses are still figuring it out, and I think it's going to be great, Felix. I'm all amped up, and yeah, we're a couple weeks away from some real big races here to see who is going to be the top horses here moving forward.
And we'll have Mike Smith coming up very, very soon. Who better to evaluate 3-year-olds than Mike Smith? Can you find anybody better?
Mike Smith, no. Hall of Fame jockey. Been watching him for a long time. Growing up in Saratoga watching him, Felix, and this guy is unbelievable. Great person, great for the game. So awesome to have him on. One of the biggest names in the sport. So great to have him on the show here this morning. Yeah,
we got him. We got him coming up 8:15 on this radio broadcast, and we'll talk about it. I'm kind of excited about the 3-year-old crop here. I really don't get too excited about the 3-year-old crop until maybe the day of the Kentucky Derby. But I looked over your shoulder this morning while you were setting the whole production up of Track Talk. We're here every Saturday and Sunday from the hours of 8 to 9. We welcome you. If you're a first-time listener, you're going to be a long-time listener. And if you're a long-time listener, better things are going to sprout from Track Talk as we just get into our third month of 2018. So we're just a baby. We're qualifying for the Kentucky Derby as a 3-year-old. But getting back to the racing and the 3-year-olds, we have a tremendous crop of 3-year-olds. And I want to ask Mike Smith if he saw the ride that Drayden Van Dyke gave Justify last week. I looked into the racing form this week. And for some unknown reason, I never, ever go to the buyer in the daily racing form because, personally, with Kenny, I was bred on the Ragazines, and the Beyer I could never understand. And most people, they utilize those Beyer numbers, and that's, originated from Andrew Beyer, Andy Beyer, who was a former Washington Post writer, and he came up with these numbers of speed ratings and so forth and so on. And so a lot of folks use the Beyer numbers. I don't know if you do. I do not personally, but I was glancing into the racing form this week, and I did see that Justify got 104 from the last race that Justify ran. Do you put a lot into the Beyer number, Tommy?
I do look at the Beyer number. I like to see improvement in that figure. It's a figure put together to help you see the progression of the horse, and especially when you see the horse going up. I think Justify, and I'd be curious to see what Mike Smith says too about the ride here, because Mike Smith, I think, has been a big role model for Drayden Van Dyke, and I think you know that firsthand, Felix. So Drayden Van Dyke has improved quite a bit since he's been here in Southern California, and I think it's something to do with Mike Smith, and I guess we'll find out. We could ask him that when he comes on here in a little bit.
I think you just answered your own question, but if you want to go ahead and give the audience, a little bit of love and ask that question to him, you're absolutely right. Drayden's father took his life, and Drayden went through an emotional roller coaster. And I'm not talking out of school. This is common knowledge, okay? It's been reported. And people who understand and follow these jockeys know that the situation occurred. It was a tragedy. Mike Smith took Drayden Van Dyke under his wing about 3 summers ago. And I have a great photo of Mike Smith and Drayden Van Dyke on the beach in Del Mar. And I've had a great relationship with Mike Smith for many, many years. And when we have him on, I'm going to let him share with how Mike Smith and I became friends. But I want to ask Mike Smith if he saw Drayden Van Dyke's ride on Justify and what he thought about it, because he had to be pretty jazzed about seeing his protege just ride just an incredible race in a 3-year-old. And Mike Smith might have raised his eyebrow and said, wow, this is another horse that I would have to, consider to be a major player in the 3-year-old race. But getting back to my original thought, which I escaped completely as I was looking over your shoulder as you were getting into the radio program on this Saturday, and you had the list of stake races that have already been run and the ones that are coming up. And when you look at the horses that have run in the previous stake races that have been running a number of venues across the country, then you see that the best is yet to come, because what do we have coming up?
Yeah, we got some big racing, maybe not quite so much right now, but on the 10th of March here, we got the Gotham, the Tampa Bay Derby, and the San Felipe. Aqueduct, Tampa Bay Downs, and Santa Anita all across the country. 50 points to the winner there, so big time. Then the big race going down to the Derbies, you're getting 100 points. Louisiana Derby on the 24th, the 100 points to the winner, big time. The UAE Derby will be on the 31st.
Yeah, but there's some bigger races that we got to zero
the Rebel,
in on.
Yeah,
okay,
we got the Rebel, the Gotham, the Fountain of Youth.
When is the Rebel?
The Rebel is going to be the 17th.
The 17th of March.
And I was just saying that you only get 50 points. In the Derbies, you get 100 points. And the Wood Memorial get 100 points.
Really?
So, yeah, you get more points for these other races.
100 points if you win the race?
Yeah, towards the Derby.
100 points if you win the race?
Yeah.
Or there's 100 points in that.
No,
race.
It's 100 for the Derby winners. So UAE Derby, the Louisiana Derby, the Florida Derby, Wood Memorial, Bluegrass, Santa Anita, Arkansas are all 100 points to the winner, 40 points to second, 20 to third, and 10 to fourth.
I didn't know that.
So that's what I mean. Those are a little bit. Those other races are big, but they're not getting as many points. You get second. you score a second in that, and that's almost like winning.
Well, that's why the UAE Derby winner's always in the Kentucky Derby, because you win that race and it almost guarantees you a spot in the gate, correct?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it's huge. If you could win one of these derbies, boom, put you right on the map. That's why it's anybody's ball game right now.
All right, so let me stop you right there. Let me go back and give me the date of the Wood and the Arkansas Derby. Are they still on the same day?
The Wood is on the 7th
of March.
That is correct. And the Arkansas is the 14th.
Wow.
The Santa Anita Derby is on the 7th, too, and the Bluegrass. So that's a pretty big day, the 7th.
Is this April 7th?
That is correct.
Okay, April 7th. So
yes.
We're about a month away from those big races right there. But we're coming up here. When is the Gotham? The Gotham is next week, as you mentioned, back at Aqueduct?
No, the Gotham is March 10th.
March 10th. So
the Fountain of Youth is the 3rd.
Okay, down at Gulfstream Park, the Fountain of Youth will be a big, big race. So now you have to get really excited. And if you're following the Derby Trail, this is where it's going. Let's go out to the captain here at 8:10 on a Saturday morning live from San Diego. You're listening to Track Talk. We are coast to coast worldwide. Don't know about the weather conditions anywhere but San Diego, but it is cold here. Captain, good morning. What's on your mind?
Good morning today, and good morning, WS Nation. It is a crisp day in San Diego today, and we do have some good racing across America today. And you hit on the horse right there, Justify. It had a little walkabout. It had a jog a couple days ago at the track after a very impressive victory. And the reports on this horse is just a monster. Kind of like the same reports we got about Bolto Oro the first time this horse hit the track and the ensuing races. But this Justified is the real deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if that horse showed up in the San Felipe and or the Santa Anita Derby.
We'll get that down is in regard of, it's what, look, I'm going to tell you. It's a long way to the Derby, and doing this radio program for over 20 years, and the late Ken Daniels, which he and I started doing this, and the years that we would get to the first two winners, the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and then, come into the studio and say, boy, this is going to be the year for the Triple Crown. And we went down that road so many times, and our hearts were broken. And one thing I learned from Kenny during this process is that, we are still 70 days away from the Derby. You can't fall in love with anybody. You can just add horses to the prospective lists that you might have, that you want to keep your eyes open to in order to maybe make a wager on the first Saturday in May. But you go back to, horses like Bolto Oro that had a great 2-year-old. Will they make the great transition? Are they sound? Are they ready to go ahead and get involved into the grueling aspect of it? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get down the road.
Yeah, no, definitely, guys. And Justify 20-1. This sired by Scat Daddy, 104 buyer, as you said, the highest of all these horses. Good Magic's coming up second with 100 buyer. Justify looking really strong, but as you said, Felix, it's kind of early here. Some horses are coming out, some are improving, getting better. You got to worry about injuries in this game too.
They're young babies. They're colts.
Of course, yeah.
They're colts. Okay, I mean they're not even horses. They're colts. Okay, they're little baby boys like your little Luca.
Well, they're trying to figure it out still, all right? And, anything could happen. Injuries do happen.
Trying to figure what out?
Too.
They don't even know what they're doing yet, some of them, okay?
Exactly. That's what I mean. They're trying to figure it out. I mean, you go there. I mean, I go watch my horses train, and they're figuring it out, Felix.
Yep.
Every day there's progression. So, they're figuring it out. I hate to say it. They're
getting acclimated to what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Or what they're being trained to do. That's what they're saying.
If I can interject, guys, for a second, when I watched Justified and I watched the carousel ride that he was given, it reminded me of a horse called Mastery before it got injured. This is what that horse, it looked so strong and it was going so easy. I don't think the distance will be a problem with Scat Daddy, but I want to tell you, very visually impressive on Justified. That much I will say.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. And I was just sharing with a friend the other day. I said, he was trying. I was trying to explain to him the big differences between the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, as well as the Belmont. And I said, okay, look, this colt is 2 years old on New Year's Eve. On New Year's Day, he becomes 3 years old. Okay, and the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont's only restricted to 3-year-olds. He goes, oh, I understand. So you can't be 4 or 2 running the Kentucky Derby. I said, exactly right. So usually it's the first Saturday in May as well. So these 3-year-olds all qualify, and they have to win prep races in order to qualify for the Kentucky Derby. And they go to New York, Florida, Louisiana, California, wherever, and they garner points in order to qualify them to get into the Kentucky Derby, you understand? And I said on the Kentucky Derby day, these babies are asked to run 1.25 miles. And they go, wow, 1.25 miles? And I go, yeah, 1.25 miles. That's the Kentucky Derby distance. And then 2 weeks later, you're asking this, this little baby, this young 3-year-old who, is trained for 1.25 miles to shorten up to 1 3/16 miles. And it's a shorter spin around the track down in Baltimore at Pimlico. And he goes, oh, wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. And I go, now 3 weeks later, you're asking this same baby to run at a distance that he most likely will never run again in the rest of his career. And that's 1.5 miles. And you think, wow. And for a horse to win the Triple Crown, all three stages that we have, linking the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, as well as the Belmont Stakes, very, very difficult. It takes a special animal. They're 3-year-olds. You might have, a one-hit wonder there, whatever the case might be. But nevertheless, you're seeing the development. You're seeing the development of these 3-year-olds. We have them on? Great. We go up to Santa Anita here, somewhere around 8:15, 8:16. Joining us, Hall of Fame jockey, my friend Mike Smith. Mike, at top of the morning, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Phoenix. How are you?
Well, good, man. Ready to go on a Saturday, trying to stay warm down here. Is it cold up there at Santa Anita?
It's about 50, 55, 57 degrees. It's right in there. It's a little chilly.
So that means you're walking around just with a T-shirt then, huh?
Yeah, I'm from kind of the East Coast area. This ain't nothing.
This is nothing. Hey, nice to have you on the program. Are you at the track right now?
Just driving back.
Okay. So how did the workouts go today? Everything go according to how you perceived it? You got all your works done, took care of your business?
Oh, yeah. No, everything's good. Just getting ready for this afternoon now, yeah.
All right. How many are you riding today?
2. I ride the 4th and the last, the 2 stakes.
So you're in the 2 big stake races at Santa Anita. So this time of year, Mike Smith, must really excite you because with your business being at the top of his game and your riding being even higher than your business at the top of the game, and the fact that you have everything moving in the right direction, you've been healthy, that's the most important quality that you bring to the game. You can't ride unless you're healthy. You've been on some great horses. We're 70 days out from the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be real quick and real fast. Starting next week, we got the major stake races from all over the country. Does that put a certain skip in your step when the Kentucky Derby rolls around?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Anytime these type of classic races roll around, man, you get up for them, man. I'm already training myself for it, actually. So really looking forward to the Derby this year. I got a very, very good prospect in a colt called Mackenzie that I'm really excited about. So yeah, we're ready to go. We just, good Lord's willing, we'll make it there safe and sound and see if we're good enough.
Hey, stop right there. Stop right there. You said you're already getting ready for it. What do you mean by that? You're training to ride the Kentucky Derby winner?
Oh, I always train for
I know that.
Yeah, I train myself, so I'm it's time to put it in overdrive a little bit and just train a little harder.
So, do you believe as a jockey You're 51 now, correct?
Yes.
All right, you're 51 years old. Do you believe your training has kept you sharp in all aspects of being a professional jockey?
Oh, that's without a doubt. And if you're not training for what you're doing, especially as you get older in life, I mean, you got to stay on top of it. Matter of fact, you got to probably train a little harder. You know, you got to go harder. You're not 20 years old where it just kind of naturally comes to you. You got to work at it. Even back then, I trained hard at it. So one thing that I did do right in my life is that as far as my career goes, and it's kept the longevity going anyway.
So at 51, you're training harder than ever. Is that because the horses are stronger, or you need to sustain that type of strength to endure in what it takes?
Just getting older.
Getting older.
But I shouldn't say harder than ever. Just as hard. I mean, I'm still going pretty good. Other than I do as much cardio outdoors as I used to. I do a lot of it indoors now with the technology and the machines they have nowadays. It's just a lot healthier and safer for me to do it indoors. So, I do a lot of my cardio indoors, but I still work out pretty hard, every bit as hard as when I was in my 30s and 40s.
So if I was going to ask you 20 years ago, hey, Mike Smith, you're 51. You're going to be at the top of your game in riding. You're going to be riding the top quality horses all over the country because of the ability of what you bring to the game as a professional Hall of Fame jockey. And so if I said at 51, Mike, that's what's going to happen 20 years ago, would you have said yay or nay?
I probably would have said there was a possibility.
Why is that?
I just keep learning, man. I just keep learning and learning and learning. And the more you learn, and as long as you can stay healthy and keep yourself in great physical condition, man, experience is a lethal weapon, man. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, I would say as long as I stay healthy, there was a chance. I really enjoy riding, Felix. I mean, I actually really love riding a horse. I love horses and love being around them. So I'm going to do it as long as I can. As long as I feel I'm helping and not hurting, I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, I don't blame you one bit there. I often wonder, and this is the way that I think, that, with the processions and the post parades and getting there and just, being on horseback and getting to the gate, do you ever get bored while you're at the racetrack? I mean, is there any days where that, you're just bored and you don't want to be there, or does that connection with the horse really perk you up no matter how you're feeling?
No, it really perks me up no matter how I'm feeling. If I'm bored, I can't wait to get out there to get on one. Even the post parade to me is fun.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I like it.
You're having a lot of fun at what you do, and you know what they say. If you have fun at what you do, it's never considered work, and it's something that comes very easy. I want to get back before I toss into the studio to Tommy D. I want to get back to another comment that you made on this radio program this morning. And we welcome Mike Smith, Hall of Fame jockey. We are Track Talk. We are across the country, worldwide. You're listening to us on the WS radio networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk. And you can feel free to call in at 866-977-2346. 866-977-2346. I want to ask you about the colt that you've been talking about, McKenzie. I know the affiliation. Brad McKenzie was the general manager at Los Alamitos. Bob Baffert had a great relationship with him. Named the horse McKenzie in his honor. Mr. McKenzie passed away due to cancer. It's been an emotional route here. A lot of love. I know the ownership of this group. How special is this 3-year-old colt?
Very. He's, along with all the, the emotional part of it, he seems to have the talent part of it as well. It's a great story, and he's a really good horse. It's just he's shown now that he can get 2 turns. He'll run pretty soon coming up. Either here or Arkansas, or I'm not sure where we're going to run him yet. He's going to run probably the next couple of weeks, I would imagine, at one of the races anyway. So we're excited about him running and continue to grow. That we feel there's still room for him to improve, and he's doing it in his training. He's doing everything we're asking him to do. So we're really excited about him. He's got the size, seems to have the stamina, and he certainly has the ability. We know he's fast. I mean, that hasn't been a problem for him since before he ran. I mean, he's already shown that he had a lot of ability. It was just a matter of, can he stay healthy and get the distance? And he's so far so good. So, like I said, good Lord's willing, he'll stay healthy, and we'll get to the first Saturday of May, and we'll just see if we're good enough.
Yes, sir, buddy. It's a lot of joy on this radio program, Tommy D. We have a lot of joy. We've had a lot of good people that we surrounded ourselves with. I don't think there's anyone better that we've had, and one of my favorite people. And I say that sincerely. We have a history that goes back a long way. Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. Tommy D, you take it away inside the studio for Mike Smith.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for joining us. And we were talking about before you came on about Justify, and I know that's not your horse, but a friend of yours, Drayden Van Dyke. Since he's came on the scene, I've noticed that you've kind of taken him under your wing a little bit. Explain about your relationship with Drayden Van Dyke.
Well, we're very close friends. Since he first came on the scene, he's been surrounded by some great people, Tom Proctor and that whole crew there, and me and Gary Stevens are pretty close friends with, especially Gary is very close friends with Tom Proctor, and Tom wanted Gary to help out with Drayden, and I'm very close with Gary, and next thing you know, we're all family, man, which we all are anyway on the backside. We really are. We enjoy helping the younger generation. I mean, I was helped a whole lot whenever I was his age and coming around, and I'm just trying to spread the love, man. He's like my little brother, and think the world of him. Again, he just has so much ability and so much want and try and wants to do the right thing and wants to be good, and it's just fun to watch and it's fun to see, and we just pick each other's brain, and I teach him what I can, and he's just like a sponge, man. He sucks it all up, and he's turned into a brilliant little rider. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, did you get to catch his ride on Justify there?
Yeah, but although he'll probably tell you the same thing, it wasn't a whole lot of a ride. It was a whole lot of Justified, man. He just had to keep the weight on him, man. He was pretty spectacular that afternoon, so very happy for him.
Yeah, great to see the success for him. Seems like a nice young kid. We've had him on the radio, too, and good young talent to move forward. But, Mike Smith, you've been awesome. I followed your career since a young guy at Saratoga, so awesome to have you on the show with us. But we actually have a caller with us, Felix, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to get to him in a second, but I want to follow up. Mike, when you evaluate the 3-year-olds this year, and I'm sure you're looking through the racing form, you're watching this race, or you're hearing this trainer back here has it. Does this seem to be a real solid crop? It appears to me that this could be a real good crop of 3-year-olds.
It sure looks like it, Felix, I believe. I mean, we got some solid 3-year-olds out here on the West Coast, and on the East Coast, I've been very, paying very close attention to the East Coast as well, in the Midwest, and I mean, there's some nice 3-year-olds everywhere. So, yeah, I think it's a really good crop this year. I think you could also tell by some of the numbers these 3-year-olds are throwing up on their buyers, man. They're pretty high. So they're showing that there's a lot of quality out there.
All right, let's go out to Andy, San Diego, listening to Track Talk on this Saturday morning. Andy for Mike Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, and it's great to hear Mike on the show as well. Mike, I follow California racing pretty closely, and I was listening to the CHRB meeting on Thursday, and Darrell Hare went up and in the public comment section, talked about the whip rule and how the stewards have kind of gotten out of control on how they enforce it, and they're constantly changing the standards. And I know a jock of your caliber and status can kind of fade the heat, but how is it affecting the younger jockeys and some of the people that don't do as well as you do.
Well, I wouldn't say that the stewards have gotten out of control by no means. It's just a learning process. We're all trying to figure this out. This is for the welfare of a horse, and sometimes what gets to be a little bit complicated with it is a number. There's a number involved with it, and sometimes the number doesn't justify what the rider's actually doing. And he's by no means is he harming the horse in any way. So it turns into a bit of a number sometimes, and whereas we want it to be more about the horse, where it's for the healthy and the safe, the safeness of a horse, and not of course hitting a horse or abusing a horse when he doesn't need to be. So we're just all trying to figure it out here. It's just a learning process, and that's all that's going on right now with that. And we're getting it, But the good thing about the whole thing is we're all trying to do something good. We're getting a little bit of it wrong here and there, and that's on both ends. But it's coming together, and we're figuring it all out, and we will figure it out. We got safer whips now. What people don't realize is we ride with a popper that's very cushiony, very doesn't cut a horse or leave whelps by no means. I mean, I can hit myself with it as hard as I want, and it doesn't leave a whelp. So we're making progress, and we're doing good, and we're trying to get it down to a science where we think we're doing a really good job for the horse.
Okay, and one more quick question, if you have the time. I noticed that on the newer tracks at Del Mar and Santa Anita that a lot of the jockeys try to go wide and stay out of the kickback. Now, I know the tracks are safer because the statistics show that they're 25% safer than they were last year. Is the kickback more on these tracks or about the same as it always was?
It can be. Again, there's another, we're trying to figure it all out to where we keep it as safe as possible, but yet not have the kickback, hinder the horses that come from behind so much, is what happens. If you get in a spot where the kickback is really coming at you, man, it tends to hurt at times. They'll add some sand and add some things to it, and then we get it kind of right, but it just doesn't seem to stay very long. You got to keep your eye on it. But when it is coming back pretty hard, it's very difficult for the horses that come from behind. They don't run into it very well. That's why you see horses go wide. You see us try and position ourselves in between where we're not getting so much of it kicked back in our face. And then, they'll go back and add some stuff to it, and we get it, where the kickback's not hurting near as much or flying back near as much, and horses will run in it, and you'll see horses start coming from out of it a little bit. But, again, it's all a work in process, and trying to get it right. It's just very difficult with the, the elements of the weather and just a matter of so much racing over the racetrack and having to work the track in between each and every race. The sand seems to funnel its way through the bottom of it, and next thing you know, you need to add more again. But we're figuring it out.
Mike Smith joining us on Track Talk on this Saturday. Hey, Mike, I was real concerned about asking you Zenyatta. Have you seen her lately? I mean, I know that's the girl that got you to the dance. Are you still romancing her?
Oh, I see her in my dreams.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to get, to Kingdom. But I really look forward to the spring and fall meet because then that means that I get to fly back there quite a bit, and that's when I usually get to see her. So, yeah, I see her and a lot of the other ones that I've been, blessed to ride. Hopefully get a chance to go by and visit Arrogate pretty soon as well. And some of the others that I've ridden before at Old Friends and different places. So when the spring and then the fall come around where that meet is running for those, 3 or 4 weeks, I get back there a few times and get to visit all of them. So pretty soon.
I mean, when you meet a nice young lady, you just bring her back to your house and show her like the best of Zenyatta and all your 14, 15, 16 wins, especially in the Breeders' Cup when Trevor Denman with his greatest call. This is unbelievable. I mean, I think that would be a great connector for anybody who you wanted to show exactly what you've accomplished in this sport. It just gives me chills to think about the races that you rode on her back and how you won. And I want to ask you something that that you shared with me at Spica one night, and I've had the pleasure of being with you out socially, and I tell you, I really honor that. And you said something, and I'm going to share it with the audience. And I think one day, I'm not going to phrase it exactly how it went down, but the question was, would Zenyatta be just as good on the turf as she was on the dirt? And I think you addressed that one night, and you made mention of that. Could you reiterate that conversation and just give us your thoughts, Zenyatta? Would she have been good on the turf as well as the dirt?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I really, who knows, maybe even better. To be honest with you, she was certainly bred for it. She ran on synthetic, she ran on dirt, she ran at different racetracks. It didn't seem to matter. She was just so athletic and so brilliant. Everyone who knows her knows how good she was. And with that turn of foot that she had, man, that just spells turf all over the place as well. So we were just talking about that the other day, me and John. It would have been fun just to run her on it one time, to see what she would have done. But I can just imagine that, especially that big turf course over at Royal Ascot, man, that big long lane and that power that she had. I'd love to have seen her run on a course like that one time. It would have been a whole lot of fun.
Hey, during the Breeders' Cup, Mike Smith, you did some promotional work with Ashton Tipton, the sports car. And you just really, what's it called?
Ashton Martin.
Ashton Martin, okay. I don't know why I would say Tipton all the time.
You got the sale mixed up there.
What's that?
You got the horse sale mixed up with the car.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's good. Ashton Martin. Okay, thanks for that, Tommy D. That's a highly zoomable sports car. I mean, it's one of the classic names in all of automotives manufacturers. Any comparison of riding Zenyatta to Ashton Martin?
Yeah, they both have an extremely good turn of foot, I'll tell you that. That's by far the nicest car that I've been in. Really enjoyed doing that and hopefully get a chance to work with them even more. But, just an incredible automobile, man. It's unbelievable. But, yeah, the good ones are like that, man. They're just different. They just feel different. They just have this class and power behind them that's just amazing. I mean, until you get the opportunity to either ride her or sit in one of those cars, you won't know what it is until you get that chance to.
Yeah, I just had one question about Zenyatta. I know we talked about her a lot, but she's such a beautiful horse. And my question was, every time I went to the track, she brought out the crowds and crowds of people. Was she the horse that brought the most people out that you've ridden in your career, or the most dominant? Because every time I went there, people were there with signs. I mean, it was unbelievable for horse racing because you don't see it that often.
No, you see it somewhat, of course, with California Chrome. He had a really good following, and Songbird had a really good following. But I don't think there was just quite a following like Zenyatta's. I mean, to this day, there's still people walking around with her T-shirts on, and I still get letters and requests, for pictures of her and all kinds of stuff. She was just different. She would have won Entertainer of the Year every year that she was up for it.
Oh, definitely. The way she walked in the paddock,
she loved
unbelievable. And I'd go with my friends, and they'd be at the track with me, and I'd be like, Zenyatta's one of the best horses. And coming from dead last, like, this horse has no chance. I said, hold on a second. Wait, give me a second. And then you hit the button. Every time she performs. So,
well,
great job.
What I compare it to? I compare it to Jerry Moss with he and his partner, A&M Records, Herb Albert, and Jerry Moss, and what they did, Mike Smith's winner of the Kentucky Derby, Giacomo, is named after Sting's son, and Jerry Moss named a lot of his horses after Sting songs or Sting affiliations, and Zenyatta, I believe, is either a name of an album or a song that was on the album. But, and she knew she was born into this entertainment world because, I can remember just seeing her she would just stand out there wanting everybody to recognize that greatness had arrived, and she did. I can remember being at the Breeders' Cup when she ran the day prior to the big day at the Breeders' Cup, and I followed her back to the barn, the shed row over where it was in Santa Anita, and they were hosing her down. And what I marveled at the most was how big and how strong she was. And Mike Smith was just one of your great compositions of riding Zenyatta. Hey, we got to get flying, but I would be totally remiss because 3 people over the last couple of weeks said, Felix, how did you and Mike Smith meet? And I said, you would never believe this whole story, but it started back in Las Vegas, Nevada, when Kenny Daniels and I did the radio program every Saturday from whatever it is, KVEG 840, one of the most dominant signals in Las Vegas. It was a great time. Mike Smith, I'm going to put you to the test because it honors me when you say that when we are in front of people because it's the truth. It made me feel good, but I think the end of the story is going to be a feel good for everybody who listened to what you shared with them. How did we meet, Mike?
Well, I'd gotten hurt in '98 really bad, and you'd reach out to me and to do an interview, I think, just to start with, something like that, and then at the end of the interview, you wind up asking me afterwards. I wound up asking if I'd be interested on coming on and kind of being a part of the show a little bit, which was I'd never done, of course, before, and wasn't really sure about it. But what a blessing it was because it just kept me involved, kept my mind off of all the great horses I was missing out on riding, and it kind of made me feel like I was a part of riding them anyway because we would talk about them every week, and got a chance to handicap all over the country, and it kept me watching everywhere, and it was just a whole lot of fun, all up until the end, till I got released by the doctors and was able to start back, and that's when I had to leave the show. But it was a blast, and of course I always thank you for that. I mean, it was
I thank you for that.
That I really enjoyed. So
I don't even want to talk.
That's kind of how it all went down, and we're still good friends, and it will continue to be so.
All right, my friend. And, with that being said, we'll bid you a great day today as always, and hope that you get back safe. That's the most important thing. And because, you got to be aware of everything when you're on horseback because a split second things can change and you want to avert any type of injury. And I don't want to talk about injury or being down. I want to talk about the positive nature of what's going on. 70 days away from the Kentucky Derby. We got to have you back on sooner than later.
Sounds good. When it gets closer, reach out to me. I'd love to.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon. Mike Smith, Hall of Fame jockey, joining us on Track Talk as we go live here at 8:42 on a Saturday. We should have reached out and asked Mike about the stake race today at Santa Anita. That's race number 4. I know that you were handicapping this race this morning. Peter Miller, is he represented in this 4th race at Santa Anita?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. 3 horses here in the field for Peter Miller. Got a good chance of winning this race. Joel Rosario coming to ride on the West Coast. This horse, Stormy Liberal, the number 7. Also has number 5, Calculator. We're very familiar. 3 for 3 on the Santa Anita turf course. And number 4, Conquest to Tsunami. All 3, 2-1, 5-2, and 4-1 on the odds on those 3.
All righty.
And then Mike Smith is on the Tourmaline. Catherine Day Phillips, I don't know much about her. Mike Smith rode this horse last time, second time back on the horse. The trainer's 25%. Like I said, I don't have much knowledge. It looks like she just claimed the horse here, but not quite sure much about her. So,
all right, Captain rejoining us
Captain's here.
All right, Captain. What about the East Coast? What are you looking at today? Anything at Aqueduct, a race, a down at Gulfstream? Where seems to be the value?
Well, to me, the value is at Santa Anita in the last race. Believe it or not, I like a comebacker here called Algorithmic. Got claimed for $32,000 and. Has gone 4 for 4, went on a break, now coming back, has literally owned the Hillside Turf Course. You get 6-1 today. Michael Mikowski, Joe Talamo, they're 4 for 4 with this horse. I don't see why they can't go 5 for 5. Very classy field, though. I am throwing a couple other horses in the race, but I like this horse at 6-1 today.
Outside bias down the hill at Santa Anita. Yay or nay, Tommy D? You know, it's amazing that usually the last race is won by the horses on the outside. I think just a couple days ago, maybe a last Saturday or a Friday, like it came 10, 9, 8, high outside numbers. Is it a disadvantage to be on the inside at 6.5?
I think a little bit, but as you take a look, number 2, Miss Southern Miss, was in the second post last time, in the second post this time. Won first time off the bench, but that's not the horse I like here. I like Mike Smith has a horse, number 4, Bendable. You got Richard Mandela. This horse was second last time off the bench in a grade 3. And then number 5, Samba Inc.
Wait. Alarms are going off. Didn't the captain always say if Mike Smith or Gary Stevens sticking around for the last race on the card that we have to bet them?
That is true, That is true, the captain's rule. But the only thing is, this is the stakes race, and they changed it up a little bit at Santa Anita. They're turning to like Gulfstream, making the last stakes race the last race instead of putting
70,000, dude.
But still, though, it's better than putting a claiming 16 or maiden 20.
You're right about that.
Because if not, people are going to stay around and they're going to play the card. That's how they get them to stay around. You want to see that big race.
Yep. All right. So then they take out the stake race in number 4. And they put it at the 4th race, $150,000, and it's not a part of the pick 6.
Yeah, so they totally split it up. Put a stakes race in 4th and 10th, so you have to stay around and watch the races because you want to see the best horses.
You like that?
Well, yeah, you're going to play while you're waiting there.
All right. I asked you, do you like that?
I love it.
All right, good for you.
Do you like it?
Yeah, if you like it. I mean, I take I take your opinion.
But I did want to talk about number 5, Salma Inc. because this horse looks like a monster. This horse is coming in from Argentina, and I don't love these Argentina horses, but it's workouts, 2 bullet workouts. Bob Baffert trains. This horse looks to be a monster.
Really?
And Flavian Pratt aboard. Yeah. I wouldn't throw that horse out either.
No, you just said the only other two horses I like in the race was the 4 and the 5. And the reports on Samba Inc., it's a very, very nice horse.
Hey, I want to say something, okay? I really want to drive this home because I appreciate you, Tommy D, and the captain. Every weekend you come prepared. You put effort into it. You look at the card. You're not just firing from the hip and, 15 minutes before the show's on, you're saying, okay, I'll do this, and this. But you know what really irritates me? And I thought about this, and maybe I'm making too much of it, but was it last weekend where those big races were at Laurel, Tommy D, where they had like 4 or 5 stake races in a row?
Yeah, you can only bet 3 of them.
All right. Pardon me?
And you can only bet 3 of them. Yeah, you brought that up.
No. I didn't. You could bet them all.
Tons of scratches, probably. Right?
No, you bet them all. I didn't bring it up last weekend.
Okay.
All right. So the point being is that the one race, it was 400,000. There were 6 horses scratched from this race, so that means there's only 4 horses to run in the race. And everybody got a paycheck. So, when racing wants to save money, don't you think it would be smart for the tracks to be able to save some of that money if there are 6 horses and sort of adjust the purse structure where it has to be based on 10 horses? Because then, maybe I'm giving them a good idea. And then you can go ahead and backload your meat that, when it's closing down. You have an opinion on that?
I do have an opinion. I could see it both ways, but as an owner, if you're
as an owner, you only see it one way as an owner.
But listen, if you're going to put your horse in the race to run, and all those other horses are scratching, good for you.
Right.
And you're in a bigger purse, and your horse gets 5th, and you get paid a little chunk for that.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations! You're running your horse.
All right.
They need the horses.
All right. So listen, there's 4 horses in the race, right? You have a horse in the race. You know what? 20% of 400,000 is, Tommy D?
I should know. What's it, $800?
880,000.
Yeah, 80,000. You a math major at Niagara? They teach you math?
No, math is not.
That's real estate 101.
Yeah. So, 20% of 400,000 is how much, Tommy D? 80,000. So if you're taking a shot in this race and you're saying, okay, with 10 horses, I'm just taking a shot, but you know what? I hope that I run good, but the horse needs a race, and I'm hoping for fourth at 5%. That's 20 grand. All of a sudden, you get all these scratches, but that's not my point. My point is that you put a lot of effort. Like the racing form should refund you guys when you buy the racing form and there's racing canceled at Aqueduct and racing canceled at, Laurel, because, you're buying that racing form to get that information. But anyway, that is just a rant. I thought of you when all the scratches because, if you get an owner that has a chance, and then all of a sudden he does have a chance because of the scratches, but what my point being is that you put all this effort into handicapping and going all through this, and then you go to Saturday, and all that effort that you put into is thrown out the window because why? You didn't have any control over the weather. And so my point, again, being is that you guys come in, and you and Captain are betting on the come. I mean, you guys don't know crap about what's going to take place in the afternoon, if there's going to be a torrential downpour at Aqueduct or winds down in Laurel. And so you're basing it on, what are you basing it on, Tommy? I don't understand.
I mean, I'm looking at the daily racing form. I look at the daily racing form. I look at the classic. If you're a new player, the formulators.
You look at the weather.
Well, I mean, I do look at the weather, but I mean, in the morning, sometimes it's hard because I'm up and working at it, and the weather's going to change from the time I'm looking from 4 or 5 hours. I do try to play the weather the best to my ability, but it changes. We're on the West Coast, the time change. And to be honest with you, by the time I'm up and handicapping in the studio doing the show, I don't even get the scratches in time. So it's hard for me to.
Some of the scratches don't come out.
Exactly. It comes on when we're on the air or maybe right before while we're setting up for the show. So it's hard to see that sometimes, and that affects the whole card. And for me, as a horse player, I'm not necessarily watching the races all day because of my family and my real estate career. Sometimes I'll place my bets and I'll go do my daily things, and then I'll go back and watch the races. So, but exactly, I do put in the work.
How do you do with that? How do you do when you make your bet and you don't watch it until the end, later in the day? Do you find? I would think that you probably have to be on a pretty good percentage because, as Captain was talking about his rule about betting football games that are on TV. It's just that's the biggest mistake you could make as a sports gambler. But just because the game's on TV, you have to bet it. Okay. The thing is that you get in there, you do your work, and you make your bets. Do you have a better percentage that way, or being connected race by race by race?
To be honest with you, I think I do better race by race when I have the time.
Yeah.
Because you get to see how the race is playing. Speed, there's closing.
So
you're seeing how the track's playing.
Yeah, you evaluate the tracks.
I mean, for me, I'm just shooting. I mean, I'm going right off what the form gives me.
Yeah, but the other day that you came on this radio program, we talked about this last Saturday or Sunday, and you came on, and you were real adamant about a horse that paid $13.80, and he won nicely, Annihilator, down at Gulfstream Park. Now you did the work, you put the effort in, and you released the horse, and a couple of listeners of this radio program stopped me after that and said, "Hey, your man gave that horse out, and it was a very, very nice win." So I want to congratulate you on that, but I want to congratulate both you guys and acknowledge both you guys. You come here every Saturday and Sunday. You give the information. I personally believe that we have a great program here, and it's only going to get better if people understand what we bring to the party. Not everybody brings to the party what we bring. We got interviews, we've got analysis, we've got fun, we've got family, and we've got you. And if you tell your friends about it, that you can listen to the radio program any day or every Saturday and Sunday, 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. It's a 1-hour broadcast. It's called Track Talk. Tommy D, the captain. I'm Felix Taverna. Our special guest was Mike Smith, Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith, and we're on our way. with 70 days and counting to the Kentucky Derby. It's, it's a good period. It's a good time to get excited. March Madness is in front of us, and what's directly ahead of us is the Bottom Line Sports Show with Matty B, the captain, Tommy D, yours truly. This has been a production of WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk, along with Tommy, the captain. Our special guest, jockey Hall of Famer Mike Smith. I'm Felix Taverna. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. We'll cue it up tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., right here on the West Coast and where we always meet, WSRadio.com. Stay tuned for the Bottom Line. Big developments in college basketball.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Are you a small business or nonprofit? Securing Our eCity Foundation offers free cybersecurity seminars so businesses of every size can become more cyber safe. According to Forbes, just one cybercrime incident can cost a company over $15 million. Protect yourself, your employees, and your business before you fall victim to the nation's fastest growing crime. Go right now to securingourEcity.org or call 619-630-2444.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.